Hello and welcome to Heather and Hops. My name is Katt and I'm a knitter based in Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom. If you're a returning viewer, it's really lovely to see you again. If you're new here, this has been my little space on the internet where I've documented my knitting journey from day one through to now. I have a cup of hot tea today, much needed. Yesterday it was really warm. I'm talking maybe 20 degrees in the sunshine with t-shirts and sandals on. Alex and I went for a lovely walk and I looked out the window once I'd set up the tripod. I'm pointing at you because you're sat on the tripod right now, and it's snowing. So someone's really been messing with our thermostat, which is, you know, it's fine, but it's a bit of a shock, and I hope that all that creatures and plants are, you know, okay. I know as humans we're kind of a bit luckier with things, but yeah, if you are new, this is little Audrey, in-house mascot slash really the main reason why anyone watches, I'm sure. She's been snoozing for a little while already, and yeah. We did have a really nice weekend. It was a long weekend in the UK, so a bank holiday on the Friday and a bank holiday today. Alex has gone into work today but did take Friday off, which was really nice to spend 3 days together. I hope whatever you got up to, it was lovely. If you did anything at all or did nothing at all, and that being lovely too. I got out quite a bit, just walking and bike riding and animal spotting. Alex was quite good at that and even spotted 2 or 3, maybe even 4 common lizards yesterday, which was quite fun, which is also a bit like such a stark difference from lizards being out sunbathing to everyone hiding away from the snow. I have a vanilla black tea today. I don't often drink flavoured teas as such. Sometimes an Earl Grey I do really like, but unless it's a herbal infusion, which is something completely different really, I tend to drink straight black tea or green tea or oolong. I don't really do flavourings, but every now and then vanilla, just like cut up vanilla bean. You know when if you use them for cake baking or for any bread or anything, if you keep the pods, just chop them up and pop them in some black tea, it's lovely. I used to do the same with dried coconut too, so coconut and vanilla, and that was like summer in a cup. Anyway, so I guess I am wearing a hand knit. I'm wearing my Whistle Bear Land Girl jumper in the Yvering Bell base in the dark woods colour, and I honestly thought that I was going to be wearing, you know, another lacy top today and enjoying a little bit more time in the garden, and I will sit in the garden, but I'll be sitting in the garden layered up, so it's quite nice to actually be able to put this back on. Really lovely yarn, and it's held up really well. I will try and get some close-ups. I won't bother trying to get close because every time I do, the focus takes a while. But Alice said to me, you know, our yarn might pill a little bit at the beginning, but once you've gleaned it the once or twice, that's kind of it. But I've got 2 balls of it on my wrist, but other than that it's really holding up, and I always say I am as hard on my clothes as a toddler is. I am silly. I roll around the woodland floor in the garden and sit on the floor here and make a mess and paint and do anything in these clothes, and it's looking pretty sharp. So yeah, I have 2 finished objects. One some of you might have been a little bit invested in, which I'm really grateful actually. It feels really nice to want to do something and then to have others support, but we'll come to that. So I finished my intersection socks by lovely Mass of Hey Brown Berry, which I didn't know, which really made me very happy. And I think, yeah, I really like these socks, and I took them out for a spin for some photographs, which did look quite funny, which I might put that footage at the end of today, where we went around the local aquadrome and some extending lakes. But when we got home, I was like, I love these socks, Alex. You should try these on because they feel amazing. And he tried them on and laid claim to them. So these have been worn and they look fine. They will go for a little wash before I hand them over. But I did say to him, I'm not really precious about these things, but I'd quite like to show them, you know, first wear, and then I will document how they do wear over time for my little no nylon sock project. Overall, really enjoyed knitting these. Having the cable being really intuitive and easy to read whilst providing interest was really good for me. I would like to do some more textured and patterned socks going forward, and I do have a couple planned. And yeah, knitted in Mondim. I haven't felted the toes and heels, and that's something that I was going to do, but I think Alex is going to enjoy wearing these, and I'm curious to see how they really do hold up without any tampering, so to speak, because I do have some more. I've got one more colour Mondim that I think I will use and just see what happens by comparison. So the other ones I will probably either felt the heel or knit an extra lace weight of yarn through it on the toes and heels. But yeah, overall really happy. Would really recommend the pattern if you have 52 weeks of socks. Beautifully written, a really interesting heel. Yeah, not really much else to say, but I would really like a pair myself, so maybe in the future, once I've got through a few more different heels and different patterns, I might come back to these. I think I would really like a grey pair, because I'm boring, but a nice grey pair to go with my Doc Martens. Oh, so the second one, I say that some of you were invested, and I think you were, which is really cool, and some were concerned that I just ripped out the sleeves and I was just not going to do anything with it, but I did. And I spent a little bit of time looking online. That was a cute noise. With no real luck for another skein of yarn for my sort of flower motif jumper, because I'd previously knitted it with sort of short puffball sleeves, and whilst it was cute, it wasn't practical for me, and I do like to think intentionally and try and curate my wardrobe in a way that I know that I will wear it, rather than it being a little bit off and not wearing it so much. And because it's a slightly thicker weight DK yarn, I opted to try and search for an extra skein so that I could do longer sleeves. I was happy to have bracelet length or even 3/4 length sleeves, but it needed to be longer. And eventually, lovely Georgia sent me a message to say she'd found some in another local, in another UK shop, and I don't know, I had to hold off, but You and Ply finally got back to, I say finally, they got back to me pretty quickly really, and said we have one skein left, but it's 85 grams, which to me I was actually, that will probably be perfect. Any more than that's going to be unnecessary. And I just have to share, You and Ply do the best notes on the back of their packaging, like their postal orders. Anything from like a haiku, a poem, a joke was brilliant. And this one, the colourway that I wanted or used was called Myddle Earth. And if you're into Lord of the Rings, and the note on it says, "From mysterious places and hidden woolly places, happy and safe, the last ever skein of Myddle Earth was found, and now it is bound. Now to you it is bound." I just thought that was really cool. But I did use it, and this is all I have left. So we will see. This will be used, I'm sure, because it's such lovely, lovely yarn. It's the Shropshire DK base that they have, and it's the 2016 batch. I think they still have some more of this Shropshire DK in their sale in their store, and it's like £5 a skein, which is ludicrous. Anyway, here is my top. I was going to wear it, but I actually thought it might be easier to show and hold up while I'm sat here, and it is really cold. This is doing the trick. So here she is. I'm really happy with this. This is the Myddle Earth colourway, as you can probably have guessed. I did it so that they do sit just about bracelet length, but once I've been moving a little bit, it lifts just a little bit shorter, and it's perfect for me and my knitting habits and layering, I think. I have, anyone that's interested, I have started sort of planning and writing this down a bit clearer so that I can share this motif with you and do a little video and explaining what the technique is. Yeah, really happy. It fits really nicely, I think. It's drop shoulder. It might have been even more, I don't know. I really like it, but I would love to see a version with the shoulder seam ending above the shoulder, but I opted to pick up a lot less stitches around the armhole. I wasn't worried about running out of yarn, but I just felt that having a little bit closer fitting with the fairly boxy body was just a bit nicer and a bit more, again, practical for me. So I think I did like quite a significant amount of less stitches than I had intended to. Maybe 25 less stitches at this gauge is quite a lot. Yeah, really happy with it, and I'll try and put in some footage. This is the same yarn that I'm wearing, the Yvering Bell in the Dark Woods, and this is just a collection of I must find a nicer word for scraps, because they're not, they're just like sort of happy little bits that are waiting, which is way too long of a phrase to call them. But yeah, I'm really happy with this this as a piece, and when I started it I was like, well, maybe I should give this away, but I think it goes with a lot of what I wear, and yeah, it speaks to me, so I think this one's for me, but I might knit another one for a friend or two, because I do really enjoy this process, and then you could put it onto anything, which is really fun. So yeah, that's my flower motif top, so to speak. I will find a nicer name for that. I was just calling it Joy, but I don't know. I really hope you can't hear the dishwasher as well. It's looking like it's not picking it up, so yay! So we've got a couple of whips. I'll show you this one quickly. It just feels a bit, I don't know, because it's my own thing again. This is my Spring Intentions wrap, and this is the studio sample for Whistle Bear, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving that I'm getting to knit this pattern again, knowing that it's going to someone else. I'm really enjoying working with the Cheviot Marsh. It's soft, but it's sticky. It's just, and the texture just shows so well. And it's really nice to work with different colours that are usually not totally in my sort of spectrum. But my favourite part of this really is seeing everyone else's, and listening to other knitters talking about the words that I've written, and on the knit nights just chatting away about literally all kinds of things, from where we live to what we're doing. Just really magic, and I really can't express it properly in words, but you can't hear the dishwasher, but it's finished. Yeah, so I won't, but this is a knit along that's running for another 4 weeks, and so far it has been just really lovely, and I'm really grateful for anyone that's here and taking part and sent kind words and shared, because it is really exciting to see the different versions, one colour versions, bright ones, like pastel ones, neutral ones, and actually Alex sat with me on Sunday and was really taken back himself, seeing our Discord server and seeing all the pictures of the different colours and just how different it looks and different feels, and people making their own by doing a different edging. Or it's just very cool. So thank you if you're a part of it. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm gonna sip this tea while it's still hot. So this was made by a friend I used to work with and dyed with madder, and this at the moment really is not anything too much to share, but I was really excited because I'd wanted to try this yarn for quite some time, searching for the right words. I want to support makers, and makers that I truly believe are doing things the right way, but sometimes, as it is for everyone potentially, it's out of remit, budget, all these things, but because of Ko-Fi, which is just like warms my heart, and I can't express enough how much it means to me, I really can't, I was able to buy some woolly mammoth yarn, and I managed to get a skein of her natural sock, so the lovely Emma, which is 50% BFL and 50% Cheviot wool, and it is a fingering weight sock yarn, and this is the Jasmine colourway. Emma to me just does everything to the best of her ability, and I think that's wonderful, and thinks a little bit less just single person, more holistically. I guess that's the way I would say holistically, like everything encompassed, so she does what she can as best she can, and I think that's really important and really lovely, and it notices in the yarn. This is really lovely. I obviously haven't got very far. I say obviously, you haven't seen it yet, but I haven't got very far, and that's because I'm working on other things, but I did only start this on Saturday and it is Monday, so I've done a bit. I've got it on a long cable, and this was just because we sat in a friend's garden for a couple of hours on Saturday, and though I know that I'd have been comfortable with my DPNs, given it being so long since we've seen, friends, I know that I can rely on this to not have to look at all and trust what my hands are doing. So I opted to keep it on this, and I will change it. But at the moment it is kind of a vanilla sock. The rate of increases at the toe that I did was slightly different to what I've done previously, but I am just knitting it stockinette for now. And one of two things is going to happen. I think what will happen is that I will use this as not a swatch, but kind of like a swatch. So I'm going to knit the heel, toe and all the way until I work a chart that I've been playing around with to see if it works, and it won't be the right yarn for it, but it will at least give me a really good idea and I'll get to knit it a couple of times. And then I'll probably rip it back and change it into Dimmy, who is just lovely, of Two Gnomes Knit, Phoenix socks. That's what I'm thinking for now. I'm gonna have to talk with Dimmy maybe and see what she thinks about needle sizes, but I'm happy to play myself, just because I know that the texture is beautiful. If you haven't seen it, it's like it does look like a phoenix feather around the top cuff of socks, and there's a shorty version and a long version, but you have to go up quite significantly, so I'm just gonna have to play. But so far this feels really nice. I'm quite excited to, you know, put this on my feet, but I am wearing my Bluebell yarns ones today, but there's no rush. I am absolutely 100% not rushing anything at the moment, and it feels really nice. Really nice actually. I've enjoyed knitting even more this year than I previously had when I was unable to do anything else. I got a lot of joy from it, but now thinking about it in a slightly different way, it's really become, yeah, nourishing for everything, my body, my heart, my soul. So thank you for being here and being part of that, and you know, yeah, it's very cool. And I'm gonna hit pause. I've just looked at the time, looked away, and it's clicked, so 1 second. So this one has, it flew off really quickly. It's actually just been sat on the side of the sofa, but we haven't done too much sofa dwelling, which has been really nice. So this is my Boskular by Marina Skewer, and whose podcast is way more informative than what I'm doing here, and very relaxing to me and really good company. I've been known to, I don't do TV dinners, I always sit at the table, but Marina's one of those knitters and makers that I can listen to while I'm sat at the table. So, so I do really recommend Marina if you haven't come across her lovely space before. And this is the Boskular. I have finished the yoke and I've even finished the body now. And I can tell you, it was so much fun, and I exercised restraint, and not in a, I wasn't, you know, forcefully telling myself, like, you're not allowed to do this, but I was like, if you slow down, you'll get more longer term enjoyment from this. So I actively did. I could very easily have finished this in a matter of days, even though it's a fairly fine gauge. It's moreish, from this beautiful yoke to having a nice amount of stock in it, but then getting to do a bit more colour work. Oh, really lovely. I'm on a sleeve, and I haven't actually worked on it in a couple of days. Again, I've kind of thought I would finish my flower jumper. I like to have a limited amount of things on the needles. There's no judgment for anyone that does, no judgment for anyone that only has one, but I like to have a few for different purposes, different hand movements, because I like to really try and look after my hands. So I, you know, mentally like to move things away, and that just felt, you know, it was a good idea to not have the thought of 6 sets of sleeves to do, or 3 sets of sleeves, 6 sleeves. So I now have already got 2 out of the way. And not out of the way, that's the wrong phrase, but 2 are done, so now I've got 4, and it's a bit less, you know. So yeah, so I haven't worked on it for a few days, but I am really hoping to spend a little bit of time with this later on. The yarn that I'm knitting this in is super special to me, and that is because it's yarn that Alex and I had spun ourselves. We didn't do it ourselves, we sent it to a mill, but if you've been here for a while, you'll know that, potentially, that one of my biggest sort of dreams is quite a small one really in the grand scheme of things, but I would love to shear a sheep, spin the yarn myself, maybe dye it, maybe not, but design and maybe knit and go back to a sheep with a fully start to finish product. It just makes my heart sing that as a human I can learn the skills to create this from scratch. I think once upon a time many people could, and there are definitely people out there that can, and I think that's amazing, but that's something that I'm going to have to work towards. I would love to spin now. The drop spindle, I've never really found a comfortable rhythm with it, so I feel like I would love to try a wheel, be it I want to say analog or electric, but either one I'd really like to try, because I think that would give me a much easier way into finding that rhythm. But it's just not possible at the moment. It's snowing again. Very distracting, I'm very sorry. So that I can't, so I hadn't anticipated being able to take this step forward in the journey until maybe 4 or 5 years into my knitting. So to be doing it at 2.5 is really exciting to me, and I have to be very grateful to Alex for helping make that happen. So I was talking with a lovely lady and just chatting, and discovered that she had a flock of sheep and didn't know, wondered what she did with the yarn. She does quite a few different things with it, but I asked her if I might be able to purchase a bit, so I did, and she is quite close to me, just 15 minutes down the road, which is really cool to have fleece from sheep that are so close to home. And her sheep are a breed of a Valais Blacknose, and I've never knitted with Valais Blacknose ever. In fact, I hadn't seen them in real life, but I tell you what, the pictures are very cute and they're not a hard sell. I would say they're like almost like the mohair of the sheep world. They are quite small, they've got these cute little noses, like lustrous fluff. So we took some of those, and they are a breed that are originate from Switzerland. They do live in the Alps. They spend the summer up on the Alps and then would be housed in the winter, and I think she does the same. I think she lets them out and then houses them in the winter too. And they're quite hardy, and while our winters aren't quite that intense, it's all over the shop, so I understand why people bring animals that may be, inside. But yeah, and then I was talking to another farm, which is a farm that I used to visit as a child quite a bit. Not like all the time, but once or twice a year we would go as a family, and I think that's really cool. They are predominantly rare breeds, some much less so than others. The Jacob is something that, if you've been here for a while again, you might have heard me talk and be very excited about. But the Jacob to me is special. I love the smell, first and foremost. I love the fleece that it gifts us. The fact that it had colour was something that I was quite excited about. I had hoped basically to do a colourwork jumper, and having Jacob would allow me to have a couple of colours. They're a pretty big sheep. They 2 to 6 horns, which I think is really fun. I'm not adverse to a horned sheep. I know some people, it's a little bit intimidating, but I think they're fine. They're fine. Yeah, they're a fairly hardy sheep. They're pretty self-reliant as far as sheep go, which I really like. They've sort of kept their primitive state almost, and I think that was why they did become quite popular over here, especially among sort of country parks and estates. Centuries ago people would have had them because they are just quite easy to look after, because they do a lot of the work themselves. They don't really need too much support lambing and things, which is kind of cool. And then only because when we went to pick up the Jacob fleeces, they were like, are you interested in this as well? This fleece they had hoped to sell to the wool board, but they missed the slots, and obviously last year was chaos. So they weren't able to, so they had some white-faced woodland left, and they said, would you like a little bit of that too? So we took a couple of fleeces of that and got that blended with the valet too. So all of the yarns that we have at least 50% valet, and it feels really strange to talk about. It's so exciting, but this is the white-faced woodland and valet, and I'm really excited to try this on myself. I have knitted swatches in all of them, and hopefully that will be on the screen. But the white-faced woodland is a bit more rare. In 1980, apparently, there was only 14 breeding flocks, and in 2018, I believe, there was only 900 recorded breeding ewes. So it's quite a rare breed, which makes it quite special. And again, they are quite they hold a place in my heart because they used to be called, or still are referred to, as penny stone, and that's because they almost originated in the Pennine Hills, which I really love and would very much love to go and visit. But while I'm showing you, so that's the white-faced woodland, and hopefully you will have seen stuff as I've been talking, but I just want to show you again how drapey. This is 100% valet, and it is just, it's got a lovely luster to it. It's super drapey. It's a slightly finer spun, so it's 4-ply. It's just, yeah, I hope to keep these two for myself to do a shawl probably, or maybe even a sort of summer top. Let's show you these quickly. So this is just a bit of a comparison of the 50% valet with 50% Jacob, with a varying amount of the darker fleece. So this only has 5% and this has about 50%. Very, very cool. My brain explodes when I'm thinking about this. Yeah, I can't believe that we have some spun yarn. It's very, this in particular, the Jacob, is particularly slubby, which was kind of anticipated, but if that's not your jam, that is absolutely no judgment. I personally really enjoy it. I was talking about it the other day, and because of the slubbiness, and the change, it keeps me present. I can feel the yarn change as I'm knitting, and to me that's something that I really enjoy. I did think that maybe the colour work would get lost, but I think it's held up pretty good, and if nothing else, the type of chart that I used, that Marina designed, is reminiscent of branches, and to me works beautifully for said thing. Yeah, so I don't need the extra 9 or 10 kilos, which is the entire lot. There's really not much. Like I said, I'm not gonna be able to knit with it all, so I thought I would share it. I'm going to put it on Ko-Fi, and that will just be on there, but I will make sure I notify Ko-Fi followers absolutely as soon as it's on there, and then I will notify members on Discord again to try and give people kind of closest to me almost not a priority, and then I will shout on Instagram and the community tab over here on YouTube, just so that people that are, you know, can see and know about it. But that's the idea. It will either go up maybe this Friday or next Friday. It's all, you know, it's in their little skeins already, ready to maybe disappear if people are interested in this. To me, like I said, it's very special because it's like knitting home, whilst, yeah, I just love it so much. So yeah, I'm gonna stop waffling because I could really talk and be grateful and for, you know, hi. I'm clearly talking a bit much. Audrey's just let out a little moan. Yeah, I can't believe that I've got the blessing to have this in my life. I am one step closer. Maybe next year I will be learning to shear and have the strength to do so. That's one of my main concerns, is not being physically strong enough yet. I'm not quite that far along in my journey of healing, but maybe something smaller like the valet might be the way to go. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. It's, you know, it's a strange old time still. We are sort of moving towards a more free space, but there's some, I'm not going to talk about it, but you know, it is what it is at the moment, and I really can't wait to start meeting knitting friends in real life and having knit nights in real life, as well as, you know, keeping the ones online, because it's so much fun. If you haven't got a knit night and you really want one, I do highly recommend and welcome you into our Discord community. There's a link down below, and because we're from all over the world, if there's any point in the day where you're, you know, oh, I'd really like to sit and knit and it would be nice to have some company, there's usually someone around to join you. We do have kind of set times, but that's really welcome. So if you are, you know, struggling in that, do jump into it. It's a really lovely space. Yeah, we played Dungeons and Dragons last night as a knitting group, and that was really fun. I won't pray tell, because if I tell, I will end up telling too much about my character, and I don't quite feel like I can yet. No one knows me well enough to divulge that information. Yeah, I'm just waffling a little bit now, and I really need to eat. It is gone 11. Yeah, it's 11:11, which means it is very much past my breakfast time, but I had quite a busy morning, and yeah, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you enjoyed this little moment, maybe of calm, maybe you had a project with you. I always like to know what's being knitted on. It's really nice when you hear a few times that a project's like moving along and then it's gifted or it's being worn. It's just, I don't know, it is that like communication and connection that I hoped for when I started sharing what I was making, and it never ceases to bring me joy. Anyway, I really am waffling, but it's just because I'm excited and I can never quite say exactly what I mean, if that makes any sense to you at all. I'm going to have some breakfast, maybe put on a few rows onto this. Yeah, I hope you have a really lovely week. No matter what you're up to, I think next week will either be a more tutorial on the flower motif, or I will try and explain about my dress, which I posted on Instagram, the rebel dress, so to speak, about how I did it, and hopefully I'll give you enough information to maybe make your own if you want to. So I think next week will be fun too. It will take a little bit more planning on my part, but that's kind of fun. I really quite enjoy that this is what I get to spend my time doing. I'm really waffling, but I am super grateful. I really hope you have a lovely week. I hope you enjoy a little bit of the nature footage that's going to come up, and I really hope that you take some time for yourself, look after your loved ones, love each other very much, be excellent to each other very much, and I will see you very soon.